think all I believe, showing up for me to see, to forgive. I forgive. Je pardonne. Well, I forgive. Je pardonne. Beyond the images I see, forgiveness waits for me, soft and warm. If I hold on to my hate, if I hold on to my grudge, I am blind. I forgive. Je pardonne. I forgive. Je pardonne. Well, I'm blind, 'cause what I see could never be. Anger binds, leave it all behind. Be free. I forgive. Je pardonne. I forgive. Je pardonne. I forgive. Je pardonne. I forgive. Je pardonne.
See? Oui.
We, it's French, yes. Good job. How did you know? That was a good name.
Did you write that? Oh, you wrote that. I see. Oh, beautiful. Well, that's perfect. It's absolutely perfect in every way. I'm not going to play a song because I think that was the perfect song. And the only thing that I feel inspired ever to talk about is forgiveness. It's the key to happiness. And if Jesus says it's the key to happiness, then let's use the key, And if it's the key to happiness, it's our way out of any kind of discomfort, no matter how uncomfortable it is. And the beauty of this path is that it's so inspiring once you make that transfer to seeing that what you're actually doing is the work that will take you out of the suffering. So the work, so to speak, the contractions, the whatever, the unforgiven parts of the mind, when they surface, welcome it. Just welcome it. Because when we fight it, or we think we should be further along, or we think whatever we think, 1,000 different things, then it makes it wrong in some way in our mind. It makes us feel like there's something wrong with us. And that was a game changer for me, because it took me years to accept that I was on a healing path, because I thought I had a lot of spiritual qualities, whatever. So every time something would come up, I would feel upset on top of the upset. I was upset that I was healing, and then I realized one day I'm just healing, And it doesn't matter what it is, it's across the board, whether it's body, it's mind, it's all the same, because everything are images that we've made, including this avatar. So it has to go too. But there's such a deep inspiration around this once these certain little tweaks are made in the mind where you go, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I just have a belief that by believing it creates pain. It's actually, you can always feel it, right? You can feel when there's a heaviness to it, a contraction, an annoyance. It doesn't have to be some huge thing. It's like then it starts to get down to those nuances where you're like, oh, okay. And one of the especially living in community in this way, it's like what a beautiful, absolute, perfect opportunity that you take that devotion that you felt which brought you here, right? That feeling of inspiration to there's got to be a better way on a deeper level, a more consistent level. Maybe you've been on the path for a while. Maybe you're just craving for some consistency, like enough of this, been doing this forever and I still find myself getting entrapped. But this is the work. And once that you start to feel a little bit comfortable with being uncomfortable and that you don't see it as something wrong with you, it's like holy ground. This is holy ground where you come together and you take out your time from your seeming life and you say, I want to face this. Because underneath it is God. Underneath it is everything that you want. And so it's like purification is necessary first. We got to go down the rabbit hole. But then there's this time where you start to see that it's all the same. It's the same game. It's just dressed up in a different outfit, presenting itself to you in a new way to try to get you to fall off that beam, that vertical beam of light that you are within you. It's like I always see this vertical beam of light, and then there's all these bats flying around trying to enter in. It's like, oh, I see you. We just watched the other night A Beautiful Mind, where it's like you actually can start to see this happen and you can catch it. You can watch, it's like, oh, I see you, little Suzanne. You're over here. You're thinking this and this. That's okay. You can just stay over there. Now, obviously, while you're purifying, there's the expression and all the stuff has to come up, But at a certain point, you're like Neo with the bullets, like not in a denial, but when you're ready, then it starts just nothing can stick. Nothing can stick. And then that intrinsic happiness that's within us all, that's where we meet. We meet in that smooth pond where all the antics of the ego and the personalities will never ever join. That's a good thing to know. You're never trying to join with your brother. You're never trying to join with your brother's personality. You want to join with the Christ, with what we share. And that gets blocked through our own self-delusion. And so it's really such a beautiful thing to be able to be here together and just go deep into the mind. There's no better use of your time, really, to undo time. And that's been coming up quite a bit lately, is the linear timeline and how detrimental it is to the application of forgiveness, because you want to keep drudging up something from the past, or you want to think that there's some kind of personal history. It's very, very tricky, this ego. So, it just feels beautiful to be able to, have the invite to come and just share what I'm inspired about. And I wasn't always inspired about it, you guys. I lived in community for, 4 years before I realized that I was torturing myself for healing. I was always felt so bad about myself when I was healing, like there was something wrong with me. Like, how could I be this messed up still? I've been here for 4 years, whatever, and then my life before that. So there are just a few things that are like game changers that you start to go, oh wow, what if I just welcomed? What if I welcomed it into my awareness so that the spirit of who I am, the truth of who I am, can really allow it to come into the light. Because there's a part in the Course that says the world is weary now. Well, what's the world? The world's in our mind. We're a part of that. We're weary of this trip, right? And you hit this expiration date with the world and you just go, I'm not interested anymore. I don't care about it. And then you're held in the arms of whatever means are given to you, because they'll always be there. The means will always show up when that prayer is pure. So this is the means that you've been given. So surrender to that 100%, because 99% is a bitch. It really is. 99%, it won't do. You've got to give it 100%. And believe you me, I know exactly how it feels when I don't trust you, I don't this, I don't that, whatever comes up. I don't trust this process. Trust it. And you will be rewarded with the gifts of the Spirit, because it's not about the people you're with. It's about your prayer. It's about the purity of your prayer. You just have to make sure your prayer is pure. And then it doesn't matter who shows up in front of you. I have all the evidence in the world that I followed along with people that I never felt that they were stable. I just felt like I'm okay, but I knew that I was supposed to follow, so I did. And guess what? Miracles upon miracles upon miracles would happen. So whether it's whether you're teamed up or whatever, who knows? I don't know what happens here, but you can trust the purity of your own prayer. You don't have to trust people. You just trust the purity of that prayer. And that person, whoever it is that you're having doubt thoughts with or whatever, in this kind of setting, it will disappear and it will end in love. Has to. It's the law. It has to work that way. But if you're sizing it up and trying to make it more comfortable for you, then it will be difficult. So it's the purity of the prayer and forgiveness. It says in, I think it's lesson 121. Do we have a course here? Anyway, it's okay. It says something like, forgiveness is acquired. We have to learn how to forgive, and not leave anything outside of it, not one grievance outside of it. We leave one grievance outside of it. It's like you'll learn this course completely or not at all. And if it can become inspiring like that, then every time something starts to come up, it's okay. Great. But it's in the unconscious mind, guys. It's not always conscious. So those patterns are playing out. They're playing out. And they're not usually playing out in a way that serves the awakening. It's that our hidden beliefs start to emerge, and then, don't like that, don't like that feeling. And I don't want to say that. That's too embarrassing. Whatever. Exposure is amazing. It's amazing healing. So the purity of your prayer, that's what I see. I just see that there's a prayer here. Boom. It's our shared prayer. It's like the prayer for awakening. And awakening, let's talk about that for a minute, because that's pretty convoluted. It can be. It's like, what is awakening? Well, the Course takes us so far. It takes us into the happy dream. And what takes us into the happy dream is forgiveness across the board. I don't care if I've been mistreated. I don't care if I have the perception of abuse. I don't care if my body is sick. Whatever it is, that's part of the thing that dresses up to keep you from that inner peace. Recently, I had this diagnosis of something on my leg that should be taken off, right? I'm like, okay. Well, I'm not opposed to doctors at all. Okay. But I couldn't feel it. I just couldn't feel going through all that. Honestly, it just sounded like way too much, right? So I just prayed about it, and then I traveled a bit, and I came back, and then it was like twice the size. I was like, is it now? Is it now? I was like, no, there's nothing to do here, right? So because I know I'm not opposed to going to the doctor, because I would in a heartbeat. If I felt guided to do it, I'd just go and get it handled, done. But there's something bigger at play that I'm receiving from it. I'm receiving something very profound from this diagnosis. And maybe once that's fully embraced, maybe I'll go take it off, or maybe it'll disappear, who knows. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about what I think about that. I had somebody come to me and say, you have to go, you're gonna die. Yeah, what happens if they cut your leg off? What if you die? I said, well, we're all dying. Well, that's okay. I felt inside. I was like, yeah, well, all I can tell you is all I'm doing is observing it right now, because that's my direction. And to use it like I would use anything else, right? See if there's any fear. This person was saying, what if it and starts to graphically, graphically saying this, that, and the other. And I'm like, that's okay with me. Until I feel the prompt, not out of fear, because I don't really feel fearful about this at all. It's more interesting. So you're like, that's interesting. Never had that before. And so just looking at all of these things with such an open mind, and knowing that God's will for us is perfect happiness, and that the key to that happiness is forgiveness. So if there's anything that's coming up in our hearts and our minds, it's just stuff that needs to go into the light. You're not to be pushed away, not to be, damned. It's like damming on top of damming, It's like, I call it borrowed guilt. It's enough with whatever's coming up, but I don't have to borrow my own self-condemnation to make it even bigger, more uncomfortable. But I did it. I did that for a long time. So the only thing that I feel is worthy really is this beautiful, incredible opportunity to learn how to forgive. Because the bodies are going to do what the bodies do, and you can use it. You can use it as a practice, as part of your practice. I always know if I'm spending too much time, mind energy into something, I don't care what it is. If it's body stuff or trying to figure something out or whatever, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's my indicator. Like, let me just step back and see what the spirit and this relationship with this light in your mind with the Holy Spirit. Well, the Holy Spirit is you. The Holy Spirit is the part of your mind that remembers. It's never forgotten. So we turn to that beautiful. I always, we all have our own ways of looking at it. I always see it as a beam of light, right down the center. And anything I'm devoted to that. I'm in love with that. That's my love. The rest of it, I'm just trying to figure out so I can, let it go and release it and see what is love, what isn't love, which is very tricky as you're undoing it, because we've been taught love is something that it's not. So, which is the good news. We don't have to know what it is. We can start to feel it. When we start to forgive on a very deep level, start to feel it. You don't even understand. It just starts to happen. That beautiful line on self will tell you of itself. Wow. Yeah. When and this is, I think this is what this is for here, right? To really go deep into forgiveness and letting go of patterns. And I'll tell you, most of them are unconscious. You don't know what they are until you get into a setting like this, and then you know what they are. Because they show themselves quick. That's the beauty of it. That's the fast track. Because we're too self-deluded to do it on our own. We're just too self-deluded. We can't see it. But when you come together in a prayer, it's like, oh, I hate this. Oh, I love this. You know what I mean? It's like, it goes all over the place. But you're in a safe container. So it's like, there's this Holy Spirit help all around you to help you with your devotion, to help you with your dedication. And that devotion is to what? It's not for making a better life on planet Earth. That's a side effect. But it's to enter in, walk across the bridge into the happy dream. And the happy dream is peace of mind. It's not some abstract awareness, which I used to try to get to all the time. It's unhappy for no real reason. Nothing's going on, nothing's, blah, 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 whatever. I'm just happy. And I rest in God, and that is meaning for me is that I rest in God, because if tomorrow I'm on the floor with something that's upsetting and I'm welcoming it, I know that I can rest in this beautiful awareness of what forgiveness is. That's it. That's I rest in God. You're taken care of. You're taken care of. That's I rest in God. Not like I'm all blissed out all the time. Oh, so great. It's good. Certainly it's much more consistent. That's for sure. But there's a welcoming in my heart for anything. Let me sit down with my relationship, with my true relationship or mighty companions, whatever context you're in, and just pour it out. I need a miracle, because if that's pure, it's almost instant. I'm sure you've had those experiences. Like, you think you're going to be met with all kinds of stuff. You're just met with smiling faces. It's so crazy. It's like the complete opposite of what we've been trained. No, you need to watch what you say. You got to make sure that you're kind. All these concepts, kindness, concern, all these things, being a good person. Oh, there's hatred at the bottom of those things. It's crazy, thinking that we need to get something from somebody. We need to get something. We have to have something. Because the ego is a thought of doubt, right? It's a doubt thought. It doesn't have an author. So that ego, while we're aligned with that instead of spirit, will always be like a heat-seeking missile for something. Just tell me who I am. Just tell me who I am, because it's so forlorn, right? It just wants to know that it's something. It doesn't matter what it is. Just tell me I'm something. So we have to step away from that kitchen and go into this alignment. That's what the mind training is for, because as we step away from that and question it, the beliefs, whatever they are, but just knowing that thought system, they don't meet, they don't cross. It's a stepping away. I will step back and let him lead the way. I will step back and let the truth show me the beauty that I am, the wonder that I am, So it's like seeing something that you believe and then question if it's really got a hold of you, it, and that's what this is given for, so you can have the support that's needed to break through these patterns, because they're pretty tough. They're ingrained, for eons, this lifetime, whatever. It's been there since the belief in separation, the belief in the tiny mad idea, and that, you guys, is the only thing that's ever playing out. It's nothing real. It's just a projection of our mind that goes out so that we don't have to sit there in the uncomfortability and let it pass through. Let it pass through. Because you're always going to be met with love if your prayer is pure. You're only ever dealing with the tiny mad idea if you're not in harmony. You're only ever dealing with your own belief that the separation is real and that you're not connected to your source, because the Christ love is unconditional. It's unconditional. It goes across the board. It doesn't sit around and size things up and figure out this and, oh, look at her and isn't she and whatever, It doesn't do that. So we're in really, really good hands. The hands of light and the hands of true love, and everything that's not that is just going to rattle around, seemingly drive you crazy. And then I think it's pretty simple. If I'm uncomfortable, there's something I need to forgive. And even if I have all the evidence in the world that I've been mistreated, or I shouldn't have this disease, or whatever, it's count endless things of why it shouldn't be you. Use it for your spiritual practice. Turn it around. Because when she said, what if they have to cut your leg off? I said, well, how do I not know that would be the best thing for me? Maybe I need to sit still more and go truly into this amazing light within. It's just an assumption that I got to run around and fix this body. You know? And if it's painful, use it. Use the pain. You know, I've said this so many times when I give a talk, but I'm going to say it again. How do we know that Byron Katie said this? How do we know that Hitler didn't bring more people to Christ than Jesus did? Because they had no freaking place to go. They had to face off with themselves. And all the books that I've read in the past about people who've been in very, very difficult situations, and they use it, it's a huge gift underneath. Because what happens is as these patterns come up and these grievances with yourself, with your body, with the world, with everything, as they start to arise, they have an energy, right? It's like this really difficult energy. But as you sit with that energy on you, allow, no matter how big, because I used to think I would be engulfed by it, right? So I had to handle it. I had to do something with it. No, just allow, because underneath it, when it passes, is the vibration of who you are. The energy sits on top of it. The vibration of God is underneath it. We cover it over with our beliefs and our thoughts believed in. Our thoughts believed in. There's not one thought that you believe in this world that has any merit except the word forgiveness. The rest of them are just... And that, to me, it just simplifies everything really well. Like, oh my God. If I can believe that, you know, if I can believe that it can be that simple, then that, you know, Jesus says you can awaken at any time. Oh, really? Well, what about this, that, and the other, and all my suffering? And it's not to negate any of it. It's really actually, it's called unconditional love. And we're so busy, as identified with the ego, as the persona, with the mask, we're so busy trying to get other people to love us that we never sit and hold space for ourselves. Right? When's the last time you sat in a total loving space with this avatar and just felt love and appreciation? Nobody else is going to do it. You might do it for a minute and then they're, you know. So it's really a love affair, and the only relationship, true relationship, but all of our relationships bring us into the holiness of who we are. That's what they're for. We watched Passengers the other day, the older one, where she's dead. Well, I won't tell you that. Oh, no, well, I already did. Anyway, but she doesn't know it. She doesn't know it. And there's all these helpers along the way to gently ease her into the realization, right? And that's all we're doing with each other. We're just mighty companions that help us to remember who we are. That's the only function for a relationship, is what does it serve for the awakening? You know, does it serve the awakening or does it serve you to sleep more? That's easy. And pretty much you can probably do a list of the people in your life that actually don't serve that purpose. And then you have to look at your specialness problem, because the specialness keeps us asleep. It's an ingenious way of the loop. Loop, 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 loop. But there is really no happiness in this world. And the fact that you're here, probably there's some really deep desire for the awareness of the truth, the awareness of the love and the wonder and the beauty, the real stuff inside of you. And it is there. I know when we're going through things, it's very difficult, because it's like all the work that you've seemingly done just gets eclipsed. Like, you're worthless, you haven't done anything, you're not getting anywhere. We all know those voices. But it's not the truth. You just welcome the healing the best you can. And I know it's not easy because you're in it. but it is the way out. It's the way out without trying to get out of it, and that's the trick. Because unconditional love does not try to get you to get anything. That's a fact. But it's there, holding you like this, like trusting that because this is like the psychotherapy thing. What I see in you, if I see the Christ in you, and you're having a meltdown, and I just say, yeah, I see that there's confusion, I see that there's this stuff arising, that's all great, because that's what we're doing together, we're healing it. But I don't evaluate it, and I see you, then we're hooking in to where we are one, actually. So it's a great exploration to be together in this context, because it's not normal. It's not normal as far as the world is concerned. And then you use everything, after you train, you have mind training and mind watching, and you glean whatever it is that you can, and then you practice. It's a practice. It's a spiritual practice. We were taught wrong, completely wrong. And so we had to unlearn. It's like, it's no small thing. That's why it's like, it just feels like I always remembered, whenever I join with people that are looking at, turning around and facing these obstacles to peace, it's like such a deep, like, oh, thank you, because your healing is my healing. My healing is your healing. It's like they're not separate. They're not separate at all. So something shows up in your mind, like Ricki or whatever teacher, teachings, whatever happens, they're all part of your remembering. And they're like a breadcrumb of light inside the dream that was placed there, because the answer was placed there the minute the dream seemingly occurred. So don't see these ones that seem to know stuff outside of your mind. It's you calling forth so we can join in that truth. And it's your mind. When I met David Hoffmeister, I knew it. It wasn't about David, the person, at all. I knew that voice. I could feel that, like, okay, this is what's been given for me to start to undo. And I fell into that. And then all the judgments about David, But that's the way it goes, right? But there's something that called you here. And you can trust that. You can really trust that. But don't be afraid of being uncomfortable. Know that it's a great awakener. It's wanting to return now. It doesn't want to be pushed away anymore. It doesn't want to be tried to fix it. It doesn't need to be processed to death. And not that there's anything wrong with processing, because it's important as well. It truly is. But there's we were talking earlier, there's all kinds of stepping stones, right? So take whatever. This is what's really good for when I practice this, where I be listening to somebody, and whatever sparkled, I knew it was for me. The rest I could just let it go, So whatever sparkles, whatever feels like something about it, like the word in my mind would just light up, Okay, that's for me, But there's no separation here. This is like, it's like just coming together in the circle and go, wow, we're on an incredible journey here to be done with it. To be done with the nonsense. To be done with the fear, the struggle, the victimhood. We're here to be done with it. So that we can glide together for a minute. It only lasts a minute. Jesus says it in the Course. Yeah, you enter into the happy dream and enjoy the hell out of it, because it's not going to last long. And then God will take the final step. I used to think I had a role in that. Like I had to make that happen. So we've just been really having some great deep discussions, and just really diving deeply into really seeing how tricky it can be. Like, oh, don't you just want to have an annoyance about this? You know? No, I don't. I'm not interested. Yeah, so just open it up if anybody has anything. Susan, Ricki, it's just all of you, just whatever's.
I'd like to share some things that happened just a couple hours ago. I had a lot of anger come up, a lot of frustration, and I could just see the projections. Ricky's trying to tell me what to do. And Kat, and I went in my room and I said, Kat, can I join with you? I'm losing. I feel so angry right now. And then I told her, I said that I have a sense that what's happening, as I'm joining with her, I'm bringing it back to my mind, and I'm like, I have a sense there's a pattern going on here. I can't quite see what the ego is doing, but it's clearly doing something, and it feels like a pattern. And then the word sabotage came to mind, and then Kat mentioned authority problem to me. And, just a feeling like I don't want to be told what to do. That old, yeah, okay, we've heard this record before. The ego, I don't want to be told what to do, and then projects it out. Feeling like, God, what are you going to ask me to do on this journey? The deeper I go, it feels like sacrifice.
Yeah.
There's this feeling of sacrifice and deeper letting go, and just to ride through that. You said, be uncomfortable with that, because it can feel really super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like an anxiety attack would be welcome.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I can sit with it and I can watch it. I see what's happening. So that's kind of what I want to share. You mentioned patterns, and that's just where, that's what's coming up for me.
Yeah, it's a very fruitful practice. It's very fruitful because it's, as you just allow, like you are, you'll start to see the antics of this thought system that doesn't have your best interest at heart at all. It just wants to keep you confused, blind, in turmoil, So it is a spiritual practice, this forgiveness and this allowance, and not condemning yourself for it, And then the difference between wallowing in something and actually allowing. Because sometimes you get caught in the, I'm allowing this, and it's just, and then all of a sudden you're just wallowing, and it's not really going vertical. It's kind of plateaued, and you've kind of hung out there for a minute. Let me just feel sorry for myself for a while. Egoic thoughts have a weight. There's a literal feeling of weight to them. That's pretty simple to identify. But the mind that's identified with the ego thinks there's something important here. It's the And as you're learning to expose, and you're learning, and I don't know any of your history, so it's like if you're learning to expose and you're learning to communicate, then these are very, very important steps. You don't just go off in your room and try to do it by yourself. It's like, no, that's not it either. It's like whatever the context that you find yourself in is serving you, and it's very important. I think the most, I just share the biggest game changer for me was not feeling bad about feeling bad. Knowing that it was just there to be released. And also the acceptance of the means, fully. What's been given to you to take you higher. And know that those doubts, whatever, if you have them, they're natural because it wants to resist what's there to, take the bear trap off your leg. Like, get away from my leg. So let me ask you just a question about forgiveness. So what does that mean to you? Like, you're talking about body symptoms or something? What does that mean for you to forgive it? When I hear the words accept it and love it, there's a little tweak on that, okay? What we accept is the uncomfortability. We don't accept the belief in disease, okay? That's not what we're accepting. So the uncomfortableness arises even if it's a thought about whether you should go to the doctor or not. You just sit with that because there's a fear. If there's fear attached to it, you'll feel it. It'll feel fearful. And so to sit with that and allow the prayer to, go right back to the internal healer, right? And just say, okay, I see this, and look upon it, allow it to move out from here, the unconscious, as fully as it can in, but you're not loving it. You're just allowing it. There's a difference. Okay. Yeah. There's a difference. And there's only one love. We're not here to love disease. We're here to allow our perception of and our experience to be elevated. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We don't love the ego. We're not here to love the ego. We're here to see that it's wholly untrue. And all the things it has to dish out are not true. I know some people do say love the ego, but it's not what Jesus is teaching us. And I think the evidence that starts to come, the convincing that this path works, is when you start to get into something that doesn't feel comfortable, just to remember that it works and to walk straight towards it. Because then it's just undue suffering. When you know it's poking its head up, it's like join with each other, do whatever you do here, and really, the only thing we have to do is ask for a miracle. Honest to God, it's really not that. That's the first invitation that usually dissolves a quarter of it, just like that. Like, okay, But sometimes to get those words out is kind of hard. If I was just good enough, that wouldn't be there. If I just practiced forgiveness enough, there wouldn't be that. That's the little general on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And what if you just tweaked it by being with it in an unconditional way? Like, you guys hold the presence for each other, right? You hold the presence while somebody's going through something. Hold the presence. Like if you wake up in the night and you're in pain or whatever, just hold the presence. Just like you would for a mighty companion, and you do it with this and allow. And then be amazed. Well, I'll tell you what, when you can start saying, this pain is present, instead of claiming it as your own, my pain, this agitation is present, it has nothing whatsoever to do with you. It's the ego thought system that you've identified with. Let's break the identity and start seeing that it's not you at all. My God, when you really get that, when you really see that those thoughts are not your true thoughts, they're not real. And of course we don't say, oh, it's just an illusion, but at some point you have to look at the metaphysics. It's like, because the metaphysics are kind, really. So just even those little things, like just don't identify with that thought system. Treat it like it's an alien. And then you start to feel like you're witnessing it, and then things start to change, because then you don't take it so seriously, like it's the end of the world. It's like, oh, you know, I mean, I feel things, I can feel it, it's like an experience that will start to arise, but I don't believe it. But I welcome it because it's something that needs to be purified, right? So it's like, okay, more wood for the fire, you know, for the true fire, the mystical fire. And it is a mystical burn when you're going through this stuff. It's like everything that's not true feels like it's just getting burnt up, you know, and that there's going to be sacrifice and you're not going to get what you need or whatever. The sacrificial thoughts are huge. So just as best you can, because these thought systems do not, it's not like you're purifying the ego, you guys. You're not trying to be a better ego that's less at effect of things. It's the truth, the ego. So all of these thoughts that are not harmony and love and peace are over here. And if you're identified with them, you will feel their feelings. You'll feel whatever it is that they're conjuring up. But if you can pull away and see that there's something other than this craziness going on, that you're this, now looking upon that. It doesn't mean you don't feel it. You can certainly feel it. But you stop, that's one of the steps. You stop identifying and trying to fix it. Fix that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Accept the atonement.
Yeah.
You know. So we're just, it's like, it's a case of mistaken identity. That's all it is. I've mistaken myself for something I'm not. And now I got this amazing book and these amazing companions, and now I can just start applying that, and I will come out of that entrenchment and become that which observes and love, and then that love. Then you can feel it, because all of this is put into perspective. So it's the best thing ever. Can you imagine it? Like all those thoughts, it's like, wait a minute, I'm this, you know? And thoughts are going to come and go. It's what, you know, while perception lasts, healing is necessary. So while these things are happening, but it's just kind of like, it's like a child or a noise that you've gotten used to. It's like, okay. And then when there's a deep undoing, that's, of course, is a different, it's like, oof, it just comes up. That's when we need help. Like when that's really, like it's got you so bad that you can't even remember what you are. There's nothing good about me. And then you have these little angels around you. Like, that's not the truth. The ego's a death wish. What does that mean? What do you think that means? The ego is a death wish. What it truly means is it's the wish to be here. Life on planet Earth is the death wish.
Yeah.
It's not death, I wish I would die. It's believing that the ego is real and this is the ego's world, right? Now we can give it new meaning, and we can enter into the happy dream and really enjoy every moment. Because you've released yourself from it, you know, that it's going to give you anything. Be completely disappointed in the world. Just be completely disappointed in all of it. And let it be reborn, you know, the real scene of love, So what do you guys do all day here?
Yeah, well, it's funny because,
What's happening?
well, it's shifted a few times, but right now we come together. Well, Kat comes at 6 a.m. for a pre-morning meditation for anyone who wants to come. She's just our space. She lights the candles at 6, and we one by one come and get our coffee, go to our rooms, or sit with her. And then we join together at 8:30 for the lesson, and then a 20-minute silent meditation. We've had so much construction lately that we're doing them to Gregorian chants in the morning. At 10, we now watch an episode of The Chosen at 10 a.m. At noon, we come together for lunch. We have lunch prepared 4 times a week by 2 of us at a time. We just went from 8 to 5 people. And then at 2:30, we 2:45, we journal. From 3 to 3:45 is Living Miracles Function, which is basically, they just listen to videos and grab some nuggets. That doesn't happen every day, but. And then at 6:30, 4 times a week, we have movies, and the ones that Spirits has been giving us, and consistently without fail, has been just blowing us away. Every Saturday we join with David, for now, movie sessions and monthly online retreats, and we've done that from the beginning.